Good morning, guys. Welcome to Breakout Coaching Programs channel, and this is a new episode of One Book a Week. That's a challenge that I started about 7 weeks ago now, or is that 5 weeks? Not really sure. However, the reason why I started this challenge was to really get you guys to read, because I realized that a lot of people do not read at all. So I decided to start a challenge where the purpose is for everybody who takes part of this challenge to read one book every week. And trust me, it's not as hard as it seems. It is very feasible. All you need is maybe 45 minutes to an hour a day, and you just have to be able to read with intense focus. And you get through the book very quickly, and you will absorb quite a bit. So for today's episode, the challenge takes us to a book which is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. That is a book which I've read before. However, I wanted to include it in part in this challenge because I feel that financial literacy is one of the most important aspects of our education, which is really not given any attention by media, society, schools, or anyone for that matter. And the result is that we end up in a society where people don't know what to do with their money, and that's why they stay poor. So this book by Robert T. Kiyosaki is a book in which he explains the difference between what his dad taught him, which was go to school, get a degree, get a safe, secure job, and then you'll be able to retire eventually. While his rich dad, which was his one of his friend's father, taught him something totally different. He had a totally different approach on this. His approach was learn how money works, learn how to acquire assets, and learn how to limit your liabilities. Don't worry, and also find a way to pay yourself. You know, in other words, to invest the money before it gets taxed, before all of your expenses. And in this book, he touches briefly on what we call the different financial statements. Now, an income statement, as some of you may know, if you've done a little bit of accounting, income statements shows you the income, and then it shows you the expenses, and of course at the end shows you what the person's net income is. So your income, let's say from your job, is $5,000, and then you pay taxes, and then you deduct expenses such as your rent, your mortgage, utilities, and at the end you end up with your net income, and that's what's left as I could say not net income, because net income is what you take the taxes out and the stuff that you have to pay obligatorily. However, he shows you how expenses for the rich, the income statement of a rich person is different from that of a poor person, because for a rich, the money comes in as an income, it goes automatically into what's called the balance sheet. Okay, and on the balance sheet, the way it works is that you have your assets and your liabilities. An asset would be investment or cash that you have sitting somewhere. That's an asset. A liability would be a mortgage or some loans that you have to pay every month, because that's deducted from what you're getting. And what ends up happening is that your assets minus your liabilities give you really what your net worth is. So what he explained is that for the poor, we want to start there. Your income comes in, then goes through your expenses and your liabilities, and whatever is left goes into your asset column. He said that for the rich, it's totally different. The income comes in, automatically part of it goes to the asset column, and then they take care of their expenses and their liabilities. You have to understand, when a lot of people see big CEOs getting paid tremendous paychecks, it isn't because the company has gone too waste the money, the company is doing that strategically so that they do not have to pay that money in taxes. For example, say your company makes $1 million profit. $1 million is going to be taxed. However, if you pay your CEO $500,000 out of that, what happens is that only $500,000 is what's being taxed. And it's the same thing when you see those guys buying jets and fancy cars. Yes, it's fun, but you have to understand also that those things are claimed as expenses and are deducted from when they're doing their taxes. So if they have a fancy car, automatically it reduces the amount of income that they have, which means that they get taxed less. And that's what he's explaining that in this book, which I think is truly awesome and I highly recommend it. You have to start thinking as a rich person versus thinking as a poor person. A poor person buys on impulse. They want to buy stuff because of instant gratification. A rich person knows the power of steady investment and compound interest and really staying focused on investing their money into acquiring assets. And of course, poor people make the mistake of thinking that a house is an asset or a car is an asset. Not necessarily. It's an asset for the bank. For you, it's a liability because every month it costs you money. He makes a very specific, Robert Kiyosaki makes a very specific distinction between an asset and a liability. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket every month. A liability is something that takes money away from your pocket every month. If you have a house and it's costing you money, it's a liability, not an asset. So it's a different way of looking at finance, personal finance, and that is why I really recommend reading Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Of course, those of you who've watched me before know, at the end of this video, you guys will get a chance to get a free copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it's very easy to do. All you have to do is like the video. Of course, you subscribe to the channel, but like the video and share it. Share it enough so that once we hit 100 likes, one person will receive a copy of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And don't forget, guys, my goal is to get everybody more educated than they are, but to open everybody's eyes and get you guys to read, because you have to understand, the media is just profiting from the news that they give you. It's the TV shows and all that. It's not for your benefit. It's all to make money. But at the end of the day, are you really learning what you need to read? What you need to learn from reading? Most of us aren't. We don't read. And that's what this challenge is about. So take part in the challenge. Post pictures of the books you're reading on all social media. My handle is @LifeCoachV. What I will do is I will be posting updates on the books that I'm reading as I go through them, and I would like for you guys to do the same. So what book will you read next? That's my question for you. So join the 1 book a week challenge. #1bookaweekchallenge. And let me know how your reading is going. I will see you guys next week, next Sunday as well.